Ajahn. I have a question because as a female lay person, when we go for this retreats, so we will sort of like go to at times formal retreats, and some at times they do allow us to meditate outside. But some say that it is not that effective compared to meditating outdoor. What is your take on this?
I think particularly with meditation and retreats, there's certainly room for finding out for yourself what works for you. You know, a retreat gives you the basic framework for practice. You have a schedule, morning to evening. There's a place, so maybe it's a place that encourages self-retreat, one room, not leaving the room. Other places, you know, they allow you to move and sit out in the open air. Both are good, both have their virtues. Partly it depends on the individual. Sometimes some people find just sitting in a little room all the time, they can't cope with it, it doesn't make their mind peaceful, they just get more agitated. Other people love it, and they can just sit there in their room and they're very happy to be in there. You know, there's room to experiment and see what works for you. In the beginning, if you're completely new, well, you just follow your teacher first, see what the teacher sets up, the retreat, the way it's done, and you try it. Try to follow the teacher, put their teachings into practice, and see how it goes for you. Maybe later, when you're more experienced, you can vary, adjust things based on your own personal experience. Because even a teacher can only give you a general guideline of what you should do. And the individual also has to have their input after a while. I don't mean the very first time you practice retreats or meditate, but as you develop experience, understanding in the practice, then you may alter things. So when I lived in Thailand, it's warm country, so we did meditation retreats, so we sat outside in the forest, and that's fine, till the snake comes. And then you start thinking, I wish we did one of those indoor retreats. So my very first retreat as Anagarika in white, like 40 years ago, I wasn't a monk yet. I was sitting outside. We were on retreat and we had an instruction. You have to sit in the forest, on the floor of the forest for 1 hour. Not allowed to come indoors, not allowed to move. Just sit there, practicing mindfulness of breathing. And I liked that. I was happy to do that. There were mosquitoes, but didn't mind too much. Got used to that. So I was sitting there, and after about 45 minutes, I heard crinkle, crinkle, crinkle sound on the dry leaves in the forest. I opened my mind, and there's a viper. And vipers, they can be deadly. Certainly, they can hurt you. But normally, they're not looking to eat humans. They never eat humans. They eat frogs and things, little things. So I'm sitting there, I opened my mind. Viper coming right towards me. But the instruction from the teacher was, you have to sit in your place in the forest and don't move, don't get up for 1 hour until the bell. I'd only been there 45 minutes, so it's like, do I wait 15 more minutes for the bell, or do I get up? So I had this, should I or should I not? Should I stay? Should I go? Like some kind of pop song or something. Should I stay? Should I go? So I thought, well, I'm going to test. I've had the instruction from the teacher not to get up for 1 hour, and I haven't reached the hour, so I'll sit here. I'm doing mindfulness of breathing, so I'll see if I can stay with the breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Meanwhile, the snake came. He came up on this leg. Then over here, this foot is exposed. It's like my foot, the skin there. So the snake comes over here and he goes to that foot, and his tongue the whole time is going out. And he gets to the skin, he tastes it, and his tongue kind of licked my foot. And then he recoiled. He went, ugh. I obviously didn't taste very good. So he recoiled, he went, ugh, and started off in a different direction. I thought, oh, that worked. So off he went. But for me, after that, I went into a really deep state of peace, because obviously it had a lot of concerned that there's a snake here. My heart was beating, and I was worried what's going to happen. But then I was happy. Oh, I sat through it. I didn't move, and I didn't change my posture. I didn't change my meditation object. Obviously, I had thoughts coming up, but I managed to control my mind. And the snake went off. Didn't hurt me. I didn't hurt him or her. It was the end of it, but I had a great feeling of joy, relief, that I'd followed the instructions, completed the task, and I was in control of my mind at that time. So say you do a retreat, whatever the system, Burmese, Thai forest system, whatever system you do, I would recommend in the beginning, just follow the instructions they give you and see if you can do that. Physically, as long as you can physically do it. And work with your mind. If your mind says, why are we meditating in a room or outdoors or for this length of time? Why are we sitting? Why are we walking? The doubts will come up. Just try to let them go and just follow the instructions. Until you've learned how to do it, follow the teacher, follow the routine or the meditation course. Then after that, once you've done it, then maybe you can develop more of your own understanding, what works for you in your practice, and maybe adjust things a little bit. Ajahn Chah said this meditation is like fruit in a bowl. You have a bowl of fruit. There'll be many fruits in there. There's orange, banana, apple, grape, mango, many things. They're all fruit. They're all good. Maybe you like mango, I like banana or something. You can't make everybody exactly the same. So you have to see what works for you, what suits you. But they're all good in their own way.
So Ajahn, it seems that cultivate the country retreat, indoor retreat as a foundation.
If it works, because you also have to look at the results. Some people do it and they just become very unhappy. It's too much for them. They want to run away or they cry. A very common one is they just end up crying. They're missing their home and they don't know how to cope with their own emotions. They're kind of claustrophobic or just stuck in this room. For some people, they just can't do it and they have to quit, leave it. Some people. Other people understand what they need to do and it works for them. So if it works and you're peaceful, do it. But you have to watch your own reaction and how you're coping.
Because from Ajahns experience, it seems that if one meditates outdoor, when you have a contact with all these senses, then one observes the mind. So does that bring in more experiences like seeing, arising, and
Depends on you how well you're looking after your mind, composing your mind. Like difference between sitting and walking meditation. Like a lot of people are scared to do walking meditation. It's an unusual thing. Often people don't get taught how to do walking meditation. But it's such a natural way to practice mindfulness. And since the time of the Buddha, many, many people have become enlightened walking and have developed their practice walking meditation. I think everyone should at least try it. When you're walking, often people think, oh, I'll be looking around, seeing many things, get distracted. But that's not the instruction, is it? The instruction is not to walk up and down looking at everything. The instruction is look ahead. Just know where you're walking. The Buddha said 1 plowshare distance, which is about 2 meters. You just cast your eyes down gently, maybe put your hands together, start walking, and you can walk very slowly or faster, whatever pace suits you. You walk down your lane, maybe from here to the wall down there, you turn around, come back. And at first your mind wants to look, you hear a sound, what's that? You see something, what's that? Of course, you'll have that to deal with. But after a while, you might find you get into a bit of a rhythm. And the walking is very pleasant. It's good exercise. And you may find that your mind becomes more peaceful than sitting. Doesn't mean to say that sitting is wrong either, but you can experiment and see what works for you. And sometimes we use both. If you're very tired, sitting, you just fall asleep maybe. So you can do walking though and you don't fall asleep. You can fall asleep walking if you're very tired. You have to watch it with these glass doors, because I know some monks who have walked straight into the glass door, bang. Me personally, when I hadn't had sleep for 3 days and 3 nights. I walked into a tree. It was 1 a.m. and I was just walking up and down, and I became so sleepy I banged into a tree. I didn't hurt myself too much. So, even walking, you can fall asleep. But it's something we have to experiment. Try the sitting, try the walking, see what works. Don't be too afraid. Take it all as a learning experience. And you hear what other people say, and that's helpful. But in the end, you've got to know for yourself. Do it for yourself.
I got a question regarding how do we manage grief and attachment after the passing of someone dear to us.
Two aspects. One is the preventative practice. Before you've lost anyone, already you should be contemplating, one day I'll separate from everyone I love and like. This is a sure thing. We have one of the chants, the frequent recollections that we should chant every day, that we're subject to aging, sickness, death, and the loss of everybody and everything that we love and like. This is for sure, certain. So it's in our own interest to bring it up, reflect on it from this day onwards. So you don't wait till someone dies to start thinking about it. If you're practicing what the Buddha taught, already you're bringing this up as a contemplation. You really don't need to look far for information and stimulus for this. Every day on the news, somebody dies, or your friends tell you their relative, their friend has died, somebody's died, or even just animals. You notice a dog has died by the side of the road or something. Impermanence and death is actually all around us. So we should notice it, bring it into consciousness. Every time you hear the news someone has died, reflect. This will happen to me one day. This will happen to my loved ones one day. Bring it up. But do it in a way where you're mindful, you're reflective. You're not just making yourself feel depressed that everyone's going to die. It's like, just reflect, one day the people I love will be gone. Because that leads on to many useful things. It makes you appreciate the time you have together, because one day you won't be together. It helps you to let go of anger, because you think, one day they might die or I might die. I don't want to die with anger for my loved ones or my relatives. Even if they say something hurtful or do something wrong, you don't want to hold on to the anger, because you don't want to die with that in your mind. So it helps you to practice when you reflect on death in this way. So this is the preventative side. The other side is when it happens, you have to accept it's a shock. Even if somebody is dying slowly through illness, old age, when the actual day comes when they die, it's still a shock. And you have a strong emotional reaction usually. Even though you knew it was coming, you knew this is going to happen, it will still come up very strong. Many people find they're overwhelmed by emotion, crying, sad, even paralyzed, just can't function for a while. Some people get very angry. They blame. They look for somebody to blame. Blame the doctor or blame somebody. Some people react with self-hatred. I should have done more. They feel guilty. They feel sad that they didn't do the right thing. You get all these emotions coming up, and often quite strongly. So number one, be very patient at that time. Be very calm as you can. So if you do some meditation, if you know how to meditate, that's a good thing. Also, in Buddhism, we encourage people to make merit for their dead ones, loved ones who passed away. Because you're experiencing grief, it's a good thing to do something positive, something useful at that time to help you cope with your grief. Rather than sitting at home feeling sad, sorry, crying, unhappy. Of course, you have that feeling, but you go out and you do something, like you make offerings. So, Buddhist funerals and Buddhist response to death is you'll have funeral services, and those can be over many days. You have memorial services and offerings of sanghadana, robes to monks, going to temples, you have doing acts of charity, donations in the name of the dead one. There's all kinds of positive things you can do, and it's not going to take your grief away just like that, but it can help. And one reflection I've used and I found very helpful for many people is just sit when you lose a loved one, your parent, uncle, auntie, or somebody, they've gone, you're crying or you're sad, but ask yourself, what do they want in this situation? If they could speak now, if they're up there somewhere looking down at us, what would they want? They want us to just sit here crying, being miserable, unhappy, or do they want us to go on with their life, with our life? Just as like you may have children, you've got your friends, your children, or people around you. If you were to die, would you want to be the cause for them to be sitting around grieving, sad, unhappy? You wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that for people. So when you think of that point, it helps you say, okay, it's a very sad thing. I'm going to have to carry on now. I'm going to have to be strong, carry on. And also what helps is you think of all the good of that person who's passed away. Not just the loss, because if you think about it, the loss is a bit of a selfish thing. It's like, I've lost my loved one. I'm unhappy because they've gone. That's a more selfish thought. What you really have to do is say, my loved one is gone, and that's just nature. We all have to die. Now I'm going to remember all the good things they did, they said, all their good qualities, all the things that make me happy, all the good things I know about them. When we have a funeral, we read a eulogy, and somebody reads about that person's life. You can do that as your own personal reflection. Whatever you know about them, you bring it up. And strangely, you may lose someone you really love and it's sad, but sometimes that spurs us on to do more good. We actually become more energetic because we know our own life is the same. One day we're going to die. It makes us try harder, it makes us do more good things, more useful things, because we know time is limited. And that you see that with monks in particular. When they lose their teacher, often that's the time when they put more effort into the practice. That's what we've got to do. We've got to try and pick ourselves up again, do more good in the name of the one who passed away. Honor them and remember them in a good way.
Maybe we have just time for one last question. Very last question. And it looks like I have further questions.
Okay.
In gratitude to Ajahn kindness and compassion in delivering the teaching today and answering our questions in the most candid of ways. Let us together say sadhu 3 times.